This is episode 88 of Zen and the Art of Real Estate Investing with my guest, Barbara Isabel. Barbara is a multifamily and land real estate investment specialist. She's an investor, developer, and a licensed real estate agent, and she's an attorney like me. Barbara, welcome to the show.
Hi, how are you? Thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm excited to get into your multifamily experience, but I want to start here because I know we share this. Where did you start learning about real estate and when?
I started learning about real estate since I was 4 or 5 years old. My dad was a developer, so I grew up in the business.
This is in Spain, right?
Yes. So I was born and raised in Spain. I didn't move to the States until I was 24. So that was just over 7 years ago. But I grew up in the business. I just never thought about pursuing it myself. That's why I went to law school.
Yeah, me
my
too.
dad was to be a lawyer, My dad was, I'm the seventh of 8 kids.
Oh, wow. Okay.
That was very conservative, like old school. And he was like, you have to be a doctor or a lawyer. So I was like, let's be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He never thought like that he had done so well in developing that he wanted you to get into it eventually, or he just was like, maybe make sure that you have the steady money allegedly that comes with being an attorney.
Yeah, I think he kind of did both with me. I think he wanted both for me, but because I was always very strong in my ways, he was like, okay, I think you will be a good lawyer. Maybe that's the way you should go. I mean, and I think he knew though that I would end up doing real estate, because I used to go to construction sites with him. He used to explain everything to me. Obviously, it's very different the way it works there and the way it works here in the States. But yeah, I think like he kind of like, taught me how to like really get to, what I am today, obviously.
The first lesson in there is you found the deal to bring to them, and it turned out to be a deal that they did really well on. I mean, that's the finders, and you can do that with a license, without a license, but obviously out there it was easier with a license. I think the key to what you said is though you studied the code first, because by studying the code is what helped you look for the right property that would fit what you thought you could do, right?
Yeah, I mean, really getting your real estate license doesn't really teach you much other than, just make sure that you do what you say you're going to do.
Yeah.
That you read the contracts and make sure your clients know what they are signing. Very basic stuff. When it comes to like the actual business, it doesn't really teach you much. So, when I realized that there was this thing called, multifamily zoning, I was like, okay, well, what is this? So, you have to be a little curious to really find your niche. That's the thing I remember when I got into real estate at first. I was not in multifamily. I was in, just buy and sell houses.
Yeah.
And they would be like, everything that mattered was find your niche. Oh, what area you want to work, what type of clients you want to work with. For me, it didn't really play out that well, even though I sold, 5, 6, or 10 multi-million-dollar houses off of cold calling. First, that's how I kind of got started.
Mm-hmm.
For me, it was like, okay, what is it that I can do so that I get clients who buy 15, 20 times a year and not one every 10 years?
Yeah.
Because I sold the condo for one of my clients and she's living there and she's not planning on selling, and I'm on year 3 and I'm like, okay, this is not going to work if I have to get like new clients every day.
I think by going through the process, then now you learned like the first time you got a whole new batch of information, and that made it easier to go look for deals that matched all the information that you got as you looked for more, right?
Yes. And then just, I knew that I needed to make, going back to your question about, how easy or difficult it is to like make the money. I mean, real estate, the good thing about doing real estate, whether you're an agent or you're, whatever like pocket you are in real estate, like there is no cap on how much money you can make. So it's really ultimately up to, obviously you need a little bit of luck, but it's ultimately up to like how many things or properties I can find that makes sense.
Yeah.
And, not only on market, but off market. There's a lot of value in off markets when it comes to development. A lot of sellers, especially here in LA, like I believe at this point, as of today's date, maybe 74% of the population are Hispanic. And I speak Spanish, obviously, which is a plus. But then they don't really understand or know that they are sitting on $1 million property. They bought these properties in 2000. I'm not even going back to the 80s. I'm talking about 2000 for $190,000, and we're paying $1.1 million for the land.
Yeah,
to
and I'm sure that the people who are mailing are just mailing everything in English. So if English is not the first language, they're just getting cards that don't even make sense because I'm
yeah.
sure they're on a list, but
I
still.
believe in mailers to a certain point, but I think the best thing is to have something to show to them. So if I sell, a property on that block, I pretty much know that the zoning is going to be alike, not the same. Okay, you can have two properties side by side and they can be completely different.
Yeah,
Uh, but I go to them and I'm like, hey, I just had one of my clients buy this. Are you interested in selling? Like, work in the area where you already had your client buy something is always a big, big plus. Like, people do not like prospect enough in
yeah, of
those.
course.
You don't need to, let's do 90210. I mean, if you sold two houses in Silver Lake, that's great, but they're not going to be looking at you. Okay.
Yeah.
Especially 90210, where every other agent is marketing.
How did you transition to start putting multifamilies into your own portfolio and tell us what you've done with those?
Well, I realized that, I mean, especially, I would say, especially the last 2.5 years, but especially the last two, the stock market has been doing terribly. Um, Having the money in the bank is the worst thing you can do. Absolute worst thing you can do. Obviously, you have to have a safety net, something that's like,
Yeah.
solid, that regardless of what happens, you're good for whatever amount of months makes sense to you. Of whoever is responsible, obviously, for you. But other than that, there is no other way to make money on your money than multifamily real estate. I have a lot of clients who are buying these monster buildings with the expectation of this turning into 10, 14-year place. We don't do that. We buy with today's expectations. So when everyone right now is scared, 8%, 9% rates, it's a good time for us to buy. It's a good opportunity for us to buy. And on the refis, obviously, we're getting a little bit more money now. The standards changed.
Yeah.
Well, but the rates are like making not as good of a deal. But I'd rather be buying in this market with 8% interest rates than waiting for this to, go down to 5.5 and having to pay 15, 16% more for the property.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's the thing that people continually forget. They complain about the rates, but when rates go down, prices go up. I mean, it's a
We
no-brainer.
saw in the last 2 years, literally the last 2 years have been the most obvious markets we've ever had. So right after COVID started, everyone stopped. Nothing was happening for 3 months. They dropped the interest rates. Everyone went crazy buying. Prices went up 15%. We had that even 18% in some areas, and that stayed consistently for over a year.
Yeah.
Like, teams were sending $300,000 and $400,000 over us. I mean, insanity. Like,
Yeah.
everything I was listing in the market, I had it in escrow within a week.